Hi guys. So today what we're going to do is we are going to review, or actually learn, multiplying and dividing numbers in scientific notation with no calculator. So that means we're going to be using our power rules. Might be a good idea for you to get out your formula sheet so you can look off of it as we go. I'm going to move quickly through this video so you can stop at any time, pause, get caught up on your notes, but please make sure you're writing this down. So I have two numbers in scientific notation right now, and what I'm going to do is remember that this is all multiplication, so the commutative property says I can change the order, and I'm going to do that. When I do that, that means I can multiply 1.5 times 2, and I get 3, and then I can use my rule that says keep the base, add the powers. And guess what? I'm finished. That's my answer. It's in scientific notation. Now, maybe your paper says that you are going to need to put it in standard form. That means you're going to move your decimal to the left 2 spots, and your answer will be 0.03. You can put a 0 in the front if you want. So it's quicker than using a calculator, actually. Let's move to the next problem. So I've got 7 times 10 to the 11th times 8 times 10 to the 16th. Same thing. I am going to change the order because I know the commutative property allows me to do that when it's all multiplication. I'm going to multiply the 7 times the 8 and get 56. I'm going to multiply the 10 times the 11. Using my power rule, keep the base, add the powers, bring the multiplying sign down. Now, unfortunately, this isn't quite scientific notation. This decimal point is at the end, and the 56 is too big. That number has to be between 1 and 10. So if I left it in this position, I would have to move the decimal over 27 places in order to get it to be a standard form number. Instead, I'm now going to have to move it over 28 spots to get it to the same place. This number, first number, has to be between 1 and 10. Sorry, that 28 is a little sloppy. Moving on to the next problem, let's look at division. This is going to use a different rule. Same idea though. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to look at the 9 over the 3, and we know that that's going to reduce to 3 over 1. And then we're going to use our power rule for division, which says we keep the base and we subtract the power. So I end up with 3 times 10 to the first power. That's in scientific notation, but if they ask you to put it in standard form, the answer would be 30. Moving on to the next problem, same thing. I'm going to break it into 2 parts, and I'm going to take my 24 and reduce it to 12 over 1. And then I'm going to do the second part, keep my base, subtract my powers. And so I'm going to end up with a negative 2 in that power. So I've got 12 times 10 to the negative second power. Unfortunately, that 12 is too big. The rule says it has to be between 1 and 10. So keep this in mind. My decimal is here. If I want it to be here and I'm moving it backwards, instead of having to move 2 spots here, I'm only going to have to move 1 spot backwards. So that is my answer now in scientific notation. But if the answer needs to be in standard form, I will move the decimal back 1 spot to the left. So my answer would be 0.12 with a 0 in the front. So we're using our power rules for multiplying and dividing. Please keep your formula sheet handy while you practice problems.